Hi, it's Meggie with Healthy Holistic Living, and you and I both alike have an entire community living in our stomachs. That's right. Over 10,000 species of bacteria and fungi and algae and viruses, and in some parts of the world, worms. That was the thing that got me. Like, I'm a little squeamish about squiggly wiggly worms, and I picture like the whole thing just whew. And also, yes, they're called microbes. While the word bacteria gets kind of a hesitant reaction from most of us, not everything it's doing is negative. You've heard about good bacteria and bad bacteria. I want to talk about both, and as always, offer life practices as well as some good product and supplemental support that create the best gut health environment that we can. As a good hostess of all of these organisms, I thought that I would want to take a better look. I dove into all this stuff, and one of the most fascinating things that I found is science and neurosciences alike are finding that the biggest difficulty and why this technology is so new is because each of these microbes has their own individual fingerprint. They have all their own imprint of design and what they react to, what their stimulants are, their design for functionality and their purpose. So studying all these pieces has been a slow progress, but even saying that, there's so much that we do know. The biggest contributor for this process is technology. Quadrum Institute has mapped out that science has grown immensely since the year 2000. And in 2002, articles, research, case studies, everything just kind of skyrocketed when it came to gut health and gut bacteria. So while we're just scratching the surface of what the possibilities are that we get to know, let's talk about what we do know. Microbes are in charge of cravings. Neuroscientists have indicated that gut flora, a friendly bacteria, is in charge of deciding what are the nutrients that our body still needs. These are coming from carbs, proteins, and fats. Friendly bacteria are important for digestion, destroying harmful bacteria, and foreign threat, among other handful of things like producing vitamin K and folate. Bad bacteria, they're also guilty of telling our bodies what we're craving. Neuroscientists are finding that bad bacteria are hijacking our system, hijacking those neurotransmitters to the brain, and not just deciding what it is that we are craving, but also whether or not we feel satisfied. This and diving into the psychological effects of the human has been so illuminating for me. So I've often said, like, listen to your body, it'll tell you what it needs. I still feel like that's true. However, listen to your body and follow its cravings. Nope, I disagree. Do not confuse the needs of your body with the cravings from your brain. So if you've ever craved potato chips or you've craved a candy bar, nothing in your body really needs that. They might need starches it really boils down to those three categories: carbs, proteins, or fats. So in the category of a candy bar, if you're looking for energy, you might crave a sugary substance, but your body will always need it in a complex carbohydrate form. Your body never needs to lick a cube of sugar cane. That's not something we need. What we need is a good source of complex carbohydrates to refill our glucose levels. What we need are fats in our storage phases or in our fasting phases to convert into glucose for the body. What we need is totally different than sometimes what our brain is craving and what we want. I mean, if we're in those, like, we are strong, we are independent, we can ask our body. I used to crave Subway sandwich, and no dissing on Subway, but there is little in there that I think my body actually needs. So when I pause and actually ask those questions of, like, what is it that you're craving? Like, why are you craving Subway? What is it you need? That's a better way to ask it. Is it the bread? No. Is it cold cuts? No. Is it the mayonnaise? Yes. Oh my gosh, I wanted mayonnaise. So then I could recognize that my body was craving fat, and I could ask it, like, how about an avocado instead? Yes. That's a positive way to get a fat in response instead of those cravings. But let me tell you, after reading this, I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that easy, because when the body is screaming at you about something you want, it's hard to distinguish what it is that you need in that moment, especially if it's a lie from bad bacteria. So now I'm thinking of those times in my life where I'm like, do you know what I need? I need pizza. What I need is just a really crappy piece of greasy, cheesy pizza. Like, why would my body ever tell me that it needed that? It probably didn't. And then I get the pizza and I'm taking a bite. I'm like, this is so not good for me, but it's exactly what I needed. Like, that's not healthy. My body never talked to me that way, but the bad bacteria did. So there's no way for me to go back and decide, was it really bad bacteria? But after rebalancing my own gut health, I can say that I was subject to the cravings of bad bacteria that was manipulating me to want foods that I didn't really need, but fed them, not me. Because that's the whole goal of bacteria. It wants to spread. It's selfish and greedy, and it will manipulate you any way it needs to get what it needs to do those things. I did found a really awesome quote on Mayo Clinic's website. You are what you eat, or more accurately, you are what you feed the trillions of little critters that live in your guts. I'm gonna need a better solution than that, okay? Microbes can change how we utilize food. Friendly bacteria is responsible for the degradation of complex carbohydrates, synthesis of essential fatty acids, source of indispensable amino acids and vitamins. These are all really incredible things that a friendly or good bacteria is doing for us. We can see a lot of stuff when gut flora goes down. When that good bacteria is decreased in our system, here are the things that are increased: insulin, weight gain, inflammation, obesity, colorectal cancer. The list is long of the things that happen in our body and our system when gut flora goes down and bad bacteria takes over. Microbes can affect your mood. They can produce neurotransmitters like dopamine or GABA. So in those good bacteria in gut, these are things that we need. The swing side of this is without these things, without the production of good bacteria, you might suffer symptoms like ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, lack of focus, lack of concentration, memory issues. These are all byproducts and domino effects, or can be the byproduct and the domino effect of an unhealthy gut. Microbes can be remodeled, especially when the food and the percentages are manipulated. This goes back to gut flora. This goes back to the ratio of good bacteria versus bad bacteria. There's still hope. So good news is that we can remodel our gut bacteria to be of a proper homeostasis and the balance of good bacteria in our system. Another thing that good bacteria is doing is fighting off bad bacteria. So really, even if we're not really sure where we're getting the bad bacteria from, gives us hope. As long as we promote good bacteria, it'll fight the bad guys. That makes sense. More good guys equals less bad guys. What we eat when we eat matters. Each one of these primary microbes responds to different stimuli, like melatonin. So when it's time for our body to shift from processing sugar into processing fats, those good bacteria will calm themselves and go dormant versus new bacteria that kind of perks up and says, hey, I'm in charge of burning fat, so where do I go and who do I talk to? It's part of that 24-hour circadian clock and running an organized system. As we learn how to promote what's naturally designed and what's naturally happening in our system, it only gives us more empowerment to do our job more efficiently. This blends into intermittent fasting and why we want to lower our sugar and complex carbs in the evening. Our bodies are shifting from sugar burning to fat burning, and if we were to eat sugar later in the evening, we've got a higher insulin resistance and a higher blood glucose that'll last longer. It's harder to fight those things off. This is all part of that 24-hour clock design that our bodies came innate intrinsic intelligence, that innate ability to know what it is that we need when we need it. If we learn how to map it, then we learn how to operate it. That's what all these gut bacteria pieces are just complementing in our learning process. So in case studies where you have somebody with a positive good bacteria and a homeostasis in the gut, food is really used as fuel. There is a primal condition that shows up that, like hunter-gatherer, I go get food, I satisfy my body with fats, carbs, and protein, and then I'm good. And the rest of life is just about living. There's also a counterbalance in that when studying bad gut bacteria and bad gut health, there is an element of socializing that happens where food is more about a social activity than it is about fuel. I personally have felt subject to this. I've always talked about, it's how I was raised. I was raised in the kitchen. Well, there's a little fat girl inside of me that just wants to eat. Or mama always taught me that if you put that plate of something in front of somebody, then they start to open up and talk. So now I'm questioning, like, is that habitual? Or was it these cravings for bad bacteria? Because I've mentioned several times I'm coming out of bad health, and I'm recognizing a lot of these things is like, man, you know better, Meg, let's do this together. So bad bacteria hijacking those neurotransmitters, telling me to socialize an activity around my food, it contributes to that emotional relationship that a lot of people have with food. Bacteria's goal is to spread. If it needs new hosts, it needs new hosts, or wants new hosts, it wants new hosts. And potlucks, social environments, lots of food, those are breeding grounds for bacteria. If we study just food health in general, the more the merrier. The out, the warm, the social, the touching, the kissing, the hugging, the everything. Bacteria is just spread. And so there is definitely a theorized hypothesis that bacteria is partly to blame for our social need that food is a gathered together activity. I'm excited to hear more about what comes of that. Personally, it makes sense. I don't know how smart a little organism of bacteria is, but I sure don't want to discredit it, because out of everything, they are smart, adapt, mass quantities, and particularly winning the gut battle right now. So something to think about. So here are some ways that you can balance your own gut bacteria. Your body's always searching for homeostasis on its own. It's always looking for a way to find its balance, that if we can give it the right support, it does what it's designed to do, and it finds a healthy balance. A sad statistic that I came across off of Healthline, 70% of the world's food supply comes from only 12 plants and 5 animal species. We have so many more foods to enjoy, and your gut bacteria thrives on a variety of foods. Fruits and veggies, whole grains, always reach for whole foods. We're talking about if the food does not deteriorate with oxygen, you don't want to put it in your body. If it lasts for 2 years on the shelf, does it last for 2 years once it's in me? I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't want a cracker that's 2 years old sitting in my stomach because I didn't know how to break it down. Reach for whole foods. Limiting alcohol is always a great idea. Alcohol throws off your pH levels. Antibiotic use kills everything. It's an antibiotic, so whether it's good bacteria or bad bacteria, it kills everything. So always take antibiotics sparingly, only when necessary, and then recognize that there's been damage done when you do take them. I'm grateful for Western medicine, and I'm grateful for the medicine that I've needed in my life, and that counterbalance. We're always quick to go to the doctor when we feel sick, but once we feel better, are we quick to rebalance our body's homeostasis? So if you have ever taken those things, then please make sure that you're balancing out that gut health afterwards. Increase physical activity, stop smoking, get some good sleep. That's huge for especially supporting that circadian clock in your body. It takes us through that natural fasting state. And we talk about this a little bit more with intermittent fasting, but bad bacteria specifically, has to double over more quickly. It needs food more often. So if I'm practicing a good meal time and then good sleep patterns, and then I get up and I practice good food again, a lot of those primary bad bacteria die from starvation. Good bacteria has a longer process for doubling over and multiplying, so it doesn't need food as often. It will survive the fast and then stick around. So practicing an early dinner, a good sleep pattern, and then breaking that fast with a good breakfast is a great way to help reset your gut. Lower your stress levels. Stress, feeds bacteria. Stress feeds a lot of negative things. So if you are stressed out, then I would totally suggest meditation or coping mechanisms. Check out our video on reducing stress and how stress affects inflammation. Here is the big, great thing. Because I can start to worry about my food. I can start to worry about limiting alcohol and getting better sleep. And the list kind of feels kind of long, like right next to the laundry and doing the dishes and cooking dinner. So if we're talking about the busy person, then adding something in is the better way to come to terms with how it is to maintain and have good gut health, right? My mama always said, if you want something done, you ask the busy person because they are scheduled. So in my preference, I wanted to add something in. And this is a good idea regardless of what it is that you're doing. A probiotic and a prebiotic. A probiotic is good bacteria. These are living organisms that you're putting in your body that are going to get to work fighting off the bad bacteria. You can imagine how important it is to find a good probiotic. I'm uncomfortable just heading over to the local grocery store and purchasing something off the shelf, because if I'm introducing a living organism into my system, I want to know that it's a good source and it's been engineered properly. One of the cautions with probiotics that we're finding is that there's an adaptability that it has once in the body. So if you are reaching for just a common low-grade level, somebody thought they'd want to make a probiotic, the adaptability once it's in my stomach doesn't ever finish out its process of becoming a probiotic, and it adapts into one of the communities in your system and potentially can become part of the bad bacteria. So now what we thought was helping us is now just contributing to the rest of the enemy. So good probiotic is really important to pay attention to. The other part is a prebiotic. I really appreciate the companies that combine these two together rather than I have to take a probiotic and I take a prebiotic. Prebiotic is food for the probiotic. It's the fertilizer. It's the probiotic grower. So I take this good organism and I put it in my body with its food source right then and there to grow the probiotic to fight off bad bacteria. It's an incredible process that restabilizes your gut. What was so cool about this for me is that I've recently introduced in a probiotic into my system. This was kind of a domino. Recently we've been doing this keto challenge, and one of the symptoms in keto challenging is constipation because your proteins are higher and you gotta up your fats to avoid that. And so a lot of people were asking me about, like, what are you doing to help stabilize your digestive system? And my answer was like, probiotic. Michelle, she's the founder of Healthy Holistic Living, and she suggested a product called Seed. So she sent it my way, and I always like to try them before I suggest them. And the first week, I felt the difference in, like, my body adjusting to this. And it gives you some unpleasant side effects, and I was so grateful for them. This supplement was getting in and killing off all of this bad bacteria, and you get to excrete it. You get to get rid of it. It's no longer in my body. The most fascinating things for me, like, I love bread. I loved bread. I don't love bread now. I loved bread, and I wanted the big bowl of ranch or Alfredo sauce. I loved to just dip it into something, asparagus and cucumber dips and all kinds of stuff. Like, it was just this fluffy goodness, and deep fried is another one, like chimichanga or what else is there? There's nothing else other than deep fried chimichangas. That was life for me. And now if you were to offer that to me, if you put that in front of me, all I see is saturation. Like, I don't want it. And the bread, I think, I don't know what's in it, because I'd rather have a whole grain element. I'd rather have rice or quinoa, or let me make that bread from scratch and then I know what's in it and then I know if I want it or not. But I've never, ever been freed from cravings before. Like, that's weird for me. Even just if you've been watching any of our other stories and videos, I was craving a milkshake the other day and I satisfied it with something good. It was an Organifi Reds protein shake and I satisfied it. But since these probiotics have readjusted in my body, I don't crave it. I choose it, but I don't feel like the word crave. I just don't, like, I need food. I need broth right now. I need protein. I need fats. I'm happy and satisfied with an avocado, and it's been incredible for me. I would crazy suggest this for anybody. I would like to show it to you. Prebiotics is a complex dietary fiber that just helps to promote things. It can bring down inflammation. It can improve the epithelial lining in your gut. You can find it in garlic and bananas. You can find it in almonds and flax seeds and chia seeds. So there are real food ways that you can get the things that your body needs, totally. If you are going for an actual supplement or a product, this is seed. It comes in this cute box. And the part I loved about it, look, I've already been taking it, so it's not even in here, is that this was made from mushrooms. Like, I love that they're eco-friendly. And this mushroom helped to grow my container of where I got my seed product from. It's in a glass jar. They ask that you keep the glass jar. Your refills will be coming in a recyclable bag. So super eco-friendly. I love that about seed, but the product itself is incredible. So here's this jar. They've got all kinds of for your microbiome, read before you seed. It's a daily symbiotic. They talk you through everything that you'll experience that first week, and they were not wrong. I was grateful for the heads up, and I understand what was happening. There's lots of good information as you read into the supplement forms and into what it's doing. They talk you through their process of creating the probiotic with the prebiotic. So you've got that double capsule of both. So you don't, it's a no-brainer. I can take it in the morning. You start with just one, you increase to 2, and I get to trust that gut health. I'm super grateful for this seed, though. Thank you so much. You might have found a different product that works well for you. That's fantastic. I definitely care about ingredients. I care about where something comes from. I care about what I'm putting in my body, especially after learning about all these things and promoting all these things and then experiencing all these things. This whole gut health is just sort of breaking ground for how do we choose our food that best supports the best us. I'm seeing results in all kinds of places. My sleep patterns are so much better. I wake up at 7 a.m. with or without an alarm, and I feel rested. I don't know how important that would be for you or not. For me, it's been life-changing because I get to get up with that energy and with the support I need, and I'm not subject to my food. I'm a busy on-the-go girl, and having the freedom of knowing what I need versus subject to cravings has been incredible. I'm experiencing weight loss since introducing these probiotics and prebiotics into my body, and I'm experiencing a clarity of thoughts where I am able to sort of like take a breath and not react to a situation or an emotional stress situation, and be able to choose how I step into it and stay calm and stay clear-minded and stay focused. These are huge, significant differences for me in my world. My suggestion to you is seed. I've tried a lot of different ones. This is my go-to. I would love to hear if you found something of your own. But yeah, if you we'll put in these links for you to find it if you want to try it. This one, man, I just super got me, and I am grateful to know these things, and I'm grateful to be a part of my body, not just subject to whatever it decides it wants for me. So I hope you learned something. I hope that you put these to good practices, and I'm looking forward to your gut health as well as my own gut health and everything else we get to learn about our bodies. So Meggie, Healthy Holistic Living, thank you so much.